I love music and wanted to compile together my favorite albums. After all, I myself am a musician, so why not talk about some of my influences? Some of my favorite albums of all time. The top 30 favorite albums of all time. That's the name of this video. Number 30. Weezer, the Blue Album. So, to be completely honest, this isn't the sort of music I generally listen to. I'm not generally a fan of alt-rock. I like Radiohead, I like Nirvana, but usually I'm not too into it. But this album, by Weezer, quite the exception. My favorite tracks are Buddy Holly and The Sweater Song, by far. They manage to be very rocky and use stuff like distortion, stuff that's from kind of grungy, punky alt-rock bands, but they do it in a somehow more wholesome way. It's not as aggressive as most of the stuff that's like it. It's more accessible. It maintains some elements, while the lyrics are more down to earth and innocent than most of the other stuff in that same sort of genre. Overall, a great album, and I think I had to include it on this list. Number 29. Weezer, the Blue Album. Alright, I know this was on the list before, but it's so good that I had to include it twice. From the opening track, My Name is Jonas, the album uses catchy guitar-chugging chords with banger drums creating a loud but inviting party of noise. Rivers, the singer, has this kind of nerdy, naive, almost sounding tone, which I think combined with the lyricism really adds something to the album. Overall, this album has 90s banger after banger and is really worth checking out. Number 28. Weezer, the Blue Album. Probably an unexpected pick to some viewers. Some say it's overshadowed by the more moodier, deeper Pinkerton, even though their second album, Pinkerton, really didn't get as immediate favorable feedback. Me personally, I prefer the original album, the Blue Album, which I think is brighter and happier on album. Number 27. Weezer, the Blue Album. What makes this album special? Well, I think it's really found in the main chord progressions of the lead guitar. Yeah, they aren't exactly Jimi Hendrix, but, the riffs are solid. It's consistently catchy, and it feels rather polished and tight in the mix. Nothing mind-blowing, but it's quality. Number 26. Weezer, the Blue Album. A well-known alt-rock album which takes certain elements of prior rock groups and, if you ask me personally, helps soften up certain musical ideas like wailing guitars and louder vocals, and it makes them a little bit more accessible to the average listener. Or at least me personally. Number 25. Weezer, the Blue Album. Very simply, just a good grunge-influenced alt-rock record, with a sincere human personality coming through the distinct vocals and lyricism. If you want generic radio 90s rock, but done exceptionally well, then seriously consider checking out this one. Number 24. Weezer, the Blue Album. For the 24th spot, perhaps the best album of 1994. Except for maybe something like Beck, or Aphex Twin, or Biggie Smalls, or Fishman's, or Nine Inch Nails, or Nas with his Illmatic album, or Portishead with that one album, that Jeff Buckley album, that Vangelis guy, he had some releases in, I think, Architecture. Anyways, number 23, Weezer, the Blue Album. This album hits best in the car, or with headphones. It's meant to be listened to loud, certain albums are, and this is a rock album meant for casual, friendly parties and such, at least I think. Number 22, Weezer, the Blue Album. Somehow these rocky jams don't feel anxious or hurried. It captures that powerful, bright, guitar-centric, happy indie rock, that sort of vibe, and it keeps it rocking without ever feeling like it goes overboard. Number 21, Weezer, the Blue Album. This next album reasonably could have been higher on the list, but there were so many good ones that I had to place it here. Number 20, Weezer, the Blue Album. Donald Trump once introduced Weezer as guests for this talk show or something, and he introduced them to the crowd as the greatest band in the universe. Not just the world, the greatest band in the universe. It's just a weird little thing. Number 19, Weezer, the Blue Album. The Blue Album is looked back on as a necessary stepping stone for the progression of alt-rock as a genre. But let's be real here. This album is nothing but generic, run-of-the-mill, corny, white-collar grunge. Great album, though. Great album. Really, I do love the album. Number 18, Weezer, the Blue Album. Number 17, Weezer, the Blue Album. Weezer, commonly known as the Blue Album, is the debut studio album of the American rock band Weezer, released on May 10th, 1994. It was produced by Rick Ocasek of The Cars. Number 16, Weezer, The Blue Album. Formed as a band in Los Angeles in 1992, they initially struggled to engage audience who were more interested in typical grunge. In November, they recorded a demo, The Kitchen Tape, which brought them to the attention of DGC owner Geffen Records. Number 15, Weezer, The Blue Album. Weezer was formed on February 14th, 1992 in Los Angeles by singer and guitarist Rivers Cuomo, drummer Patrick Wilson, bassist Matt Sharp, and guitarist Jason Cropper. Although they performed future hits including Undone, The Sweater Song, and Say It Ain't So, Cuomo said they... Number 14, Weezer, The Blue Album. While preparing for studio sessions, Weezer focused on their vocal interplay by practicing barbershop quartet-style songs, which helped Cuomo and Sharp feel more comfortable collaborating during rehearsals. Number 13, Weezer, The Blue Album. Weezer, a Los Angeles quartet led by singer Rivers Cuomo, quickly rose above the throng of punk bands with their debut album, Weezer, otherwise known as The Blue Album. But the power ballad, My Name is Jonas, the mercy beat of Undone, The Sweater Song, and Buddy Holly, the latter featuring a brief but memorable solo by Cuomo, the vapid chorus of Surf Wax America, and the folk ballad in The Garage, have all the substance of reeds in the wind. On the album's better moments, one can hear an eager group of Pixies disciplines, such as in the track Say It Ain't So. Number 12, Weezer, The Blue Album. Weezer, The Blue Album. Weezer, The Blue Album. Weezer, Blue Album. Weezer, The Blue Album. Weezer, The Blue Album. Weezer, Blue Album. Number 11, Weezer, The Blue Album. Number 10, Weezer, The Blue Album. Weezer. Weezer? 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 Weezer. Number 9, Weezer, The Blue Album. You like Weezer? Their early work was a little too new wave for my taste, but when Blue came out in '94, I think they really came into their own, commercially and artistically. The whole album has a clear, crisp sound and a new sheen of consummate professionalism that really gives the song the big boost. It's been compared to the Pixies, but I think Weezer has a far more brighter, cheerful sense of humor. In '94, Weezer released this, Blue, their most accomplished album. I think their undisputed masterpiece is Buddy Holly, a song so catchy most people probably don't even listen to the lyrics. But they should, because it's not just about continuing romantic interest despite external judgment and the importance of looking like Buddy Holly. It's also a personal statement about the band itself. Number 8, Weezer, The Blue Album. Weezer, The Blue Album. Number 7, Ooh-wee-you. Weezer, The Blue Album. I look just like Buddy Holly. I look just like... Ooh-wee-you. I look just like Buddy Holly. Whoa, and your Number 6, Weezer, The Blue Album. Just a solid 90s indie rock album. And I know some won't agree with that description because, calling it an indie rock album doesn't really make sense because it is not indie at all, and I don't care. Your fucking anger is funny to me. Comment below if you agree. Number 5, Weezer, The Blue Album. Number 5, Weezer, The Blue Album. Number 5. Number 5, Weezer. Number 5, Weezer, The Blue Album. 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 Number 4, Weezer, The Blue Album. An album so substantial, the band for some reason decided to use the exact same cover for all their releases afterwards. Number 3, Weezer, The Blue Album. What does song lyrics even mean? Like, ooh wee you, I look just like Buddy Holly? Like, no you fucking don't. This is Nirvana but fucking gay. This is Nirvana but gay. Number 2, Pinkerton. What the fuck? This isn't an album. Get this out of here. Number 1, Weezer, The Blue Album. What can be said about this album that hasn't been said before? There's a lot of conflicting opinions about it, but me personally, I think it's pretty good. This was an awful fucking video. Oh my god. This was an awful video. This was an honest to goodness, actual terrible video idea. I thought it was going to be funny.